Martin, it was a tough old battle on Tuesday night at Burton. How was it? Relief that you felt at the end of the game, getting through on penalties, or is the League Cup not that important to you?
No, you want to win games, and we said before the game that we would like to do something in these competitions, because that is probably a long time ago that we did well in the cup competition. It's a Capital One Cup now, not the Carling Cup or the FA Cup. I would love to be in the same position like we were last year and win the FA Cup, for example, or even the Capital One Cup. Doesn't matter, to go to Wembley. So we will never say, and we'll never underestimate or disrespect any cup competition. So, and you could see that because we played, we outfielded a very strong team. But I felt that we played not perfect, but I think we played very well. But we couldn't. Up front, on the left, on the right. Adele gave the right example. He went in, got in, and he scored, and that is what I expect from my players. But overall, we never gave him a chance. The first half was good on the ball, 75% possession. Second half, but in the last 5 minutes they smelled blood, and you could sense that they had a couple of attacks over the left. They crossed it and they scored. And our fans were terrific, but. You could sense and feel that they were quite unhappy after that in extra time, and then they scored the 2-1. So I felt horrible. It was not even like that the Capital One Cup is not important. No, you want to win and you want to show everyone that you want to do well. But sometimes you have to understand that it's not easy in England against a lower league team. But on the other hand, I know that you've got to go to the next round if you play against. A league team which is a good team, because they got a good record at home, but we are so much better, and I think in the end we were better, but it took us penalties to go through the next round, and that is not what you want, because we've got a good squad. Don't forget that we have to gel together first. Berbatov was not there. We rested Damien Duff, but I feel that the more we train together like we did this week and next week, of course, and the next couple of weeks, I think we will be a fantastic team in the future. We are not perfect, but we are getting there.
And presumably it was important to get a result after the defeat at Arsenal, even though the positive was that Darren Bent scored his debut goal.
Yeah, but that means nothing. You can score a goal and lose 3-1, so that was meaningless to me. It is nice for Darren that he got his first goal for the club, but for the rest it was a bad day. But on the other hand, they are a very good side, and they proved that the week before against Fenerbahce away from home, and they proved it against Fenerbahce after our game. But we had that cushion, 3 points against Sunderland. Of course, you can lose against Arsenal, but I don't think that we played bad. We played okay against Arsenal, but they had 3 shots. We couldn't block the shots. They took us on the break. Even the second half was 1-1. And we could have suffered from 2-0 down, and we didn't. So we showed some resilience, a good mentality. But you need to win your home games. That is the problem.
Both Martin Stekelenburg and Kieran Richardson were both absent for the game against Arsenal. I believe they're still absent, and for the travels to the Northeast again this Saturday. Can you give us an update, please?
Yeah, that is another thing. Mart will be assessed tomorrow, but I don't think he will be in the squad. Of course, Kieran is still out for the next 3 weeks. If you look at Fernando Amorebieta, he will be out, and that is disappointing, because I really thought that he was doing well, and he needed maybe a week or 2 weeks. That takes a bit longer, but okay, it is as it is. And of course, we had a lot of players coming back, and I think if you look at midfield, Scott Park, I was really enjoying to see him play, and I enjoyed myself and everybody else around me as well. Darren Bent had 2 chances, and I think we will see the best of him in the next couple of weeks. And of course, Berber will come back against Newcastle, so hopefully we are strong enough to get a result against them.
But those 3 players at the back were players that you'd gone through pre-season in the starting lineup, so again that must have been quite difficult in terms of having to select players that you knew would fit in quite easily and quite quickly, because they hadn't been part of your pre-season starts.
You're a very good interviewer, you help me all the time. No, but I know what you mean. Of course, hopefully, everybody else will see that we are not like Real Madrid in the high days. You know, that we will gel together. Of course, Kieran was injured, and he's quick. He can close people down. And I feel at the back, you need that. You know, you need speed, especially. And you see it all the time. When we score, we are a good team. And I think over the last couple of years, we gave away maybe 2 or 3 leads. And for the rest, we always won our games. The only problem is if we concede a goal or 2 goals like Arsenal, then you have to open up. And sometimes we lack a yard, you know, to on the transition. And I thought with Sasha and with Kieran, because they are quite quick, and especially Kieran, you know. But now John is back, and John, of course, he's a bit older, but he's very experienced. I've got Briggs, and Briggs came on against Sunderland, and he did well. So it's only, we have to make a decision, gel together, and camouflage our weaknesses. And if we can do that, you know, we will be stronger and stronger every week.
And just in terms of the central midfield, obviously Derek had played there alongside Steve Sidwell. You have Giorgio as an option, and he came on at Sunderland. Is Scott Parker the role that Derek was playing, or how do you see that pairing?
Scott Parker is my number 4. Scott Parker is the defensive midfield player, but you know that I always like a defensive midfield player who can play football as well. And with Derek, of course, you got a warrior. He wins balls, but Derek is not someone who will play out from the back. So that is why I like Scotty Parker. And Scotty Parker can play with Derek. Scott Parker can play with Sidwell. But don't forget Giorgio. Every time when Giorgio plays, he makes us tick. You know, he plays and he's confident, and of course maybe he runs with the ball sometimes. But sometimes, like Dembele, you know, sometimes you need that. So they all got their own qualities, and I've got 4 midfield players now. I've got another youngster as well, Chris David. Maybe he's not there yet, but in the future you will see them, you know, because we've got a few good youngsters. But first we have to be a settled team, and we have to see that the qualities we've got will inspire anybody else, you know, to be confident and to get the results, because we don't have to be champions in England, you know, but we want to be a very good league club, Premier League club, and we would like to do well and maybe even be in the top 7, top 8. But with the qualities we've got, I think we could be fantastic again.
And Brian is a quality player, and he started again on Tuesday evening. Does that mean that he's back in contention for Saturday?
Don't forget that Brian was always in the team, and Brian has to deliver, and he knows that. And he scored 5 goals last year. I wanted to score 10 goals at least, because I need that, you know. If you got strikers who can score 15 goals, you need a number 10. Even when it is a lower 10, doesn't matter. He needs to score goals. And of course he went for a friendly game to Costa Rica. We played Kasami, he scored. So that is what you want. You want competition for places. And it wasn't not his best game against Burton Albion. You have to be honest. So it's about a decision again. But if we back Brian Roos, if we back our players, and our supporters are doing that, you know, because that is so important, they will get the confidence back, and there will be good players for us.
And you back the squad that you have now. You think you have a good enough squad to compete and to...
If you look at the qualities up front, you know, we've got pace, we've got Berbatov, who's good on the ball. He can score 15 goals, he scored 18 goals in all competitions. We've got, for example, Adel, and he showed, you know, immediately against Burton, he went in, he scored, and that is what we want. The only thing is we have to get the balance right. We have to play together, and we have to play well together, and we know exactly how to do it. But now we have to try to get all these patterns into the game, and sometimes your quality players, they have to make the difference, and hopefully they will do that.
And as far as the window is concerned, it ends on Monday. Have you got the squad that you want, or are you still looking at a certain position that you'd like to?
There's always players, Sarah, who want and who tell you that they need games. So I don't know what will happen over the last couple of days. Of course, we've got a few players. Philip Sanders needs games, and he would like to start. He isn't, so we will have to wait and see what happens to him, you know, because I think that Aaron Hughes is doing well, Fernando did well. Breda, of course, is my captain. So in some positions, even with John, we were very honest about it. I think he's too good and too experienced, and he's a servant to the club. So if he needs to play, I will never tell him, you know, that he's got to stay, because we had Kieran. But we will have to wait and see. I think there's always an opportunity in a situation that 1 or 2 players could leave the club, and then we would do something.
And finally, a word on the opposition on Saturday. Obviously, they're without one of their key players because for whatever reason internally within the club. Does that make a difference? It's a difficult place to go, but over recent years, Fulham's had a good record there.
they've got a very good record. I think they've got a better squad than ever before. If you look at the players, Kabay is not playing, but if you see Tiote, for example, if you see Sissoko, everybody wanted Sissoko. He's a fantastic player. If you see Anita, they bought Anita from Holland, for a big fee. And of course you would like to have these players, but for them it's possible to get them. If you see the flank players, if you see the possibilities they've got up front, with the 3 or 4, and they still want Gomes, they wanted Bent, for example. They are after other players as well. Remy will be probably fit against us. They've got a fantastic squad. So what we did well last year, it's not easy for us to go to the north, up north, but we had a result against Sunderland, so hopefully we will do the same at Newcastle.
We wish you luck.
Okay, thank you.